I want to talk about the power of now, and that's one of Eckhart Tolle, I think that's how you pronounce it, his book, The Power of Now and Living in the Present Moment, and how much it helps you sort of stop suffering so much in so many ways. You know, they do say that when we are living in the past, that's mainly sort of depression and thinking about the past. And when we are thinking about the future, we're worrying, we're anxious. It's suffering. And the only place we suffer as well, mostly, is in our heads. You know, it's things that we think, and how we think affects how we feel, and how we feel affects how we show up in the world, and how we are present in the world. And being present in the power of now, it sounds like an easy concept, and it is an easy concept because we are only alive in the now. And you're like, well, you know, you need to be present, you need to be in the moment. And you're like, yeah, I get it. And it's easy to understand, and it's simple, but sometimes these are the harder concepts to grasp and practice. And I think for me, this is one of the ones I will always struggle with. And I think as human beings, we will always struggle with this because our minds always want to take us to what's coming up, and oh, look at that, and you know, almost like waiting for the next thing all the time. I know I get into that sort of space where I'm constantly waiting for the next thing to happen. I'm like, okay, it's a waiting game. I spend my time just kind of waiting for the next thing. Okay, and well, I'm waiting to meet somebody, or I'm waiting to do that task, or I'm waiting to do that thing. And it's about going, okay, well, I'm alive right now, in this moment, in this present moment. And that's why they call it present, like a gift, because the present moment is a gift. And we're not alive in the past, it's gone. We're not alive in the future, that's still to come. You know, we are only present in this moment where we stand right now. And it's powerful when you can learn to be present in the moment as it's happening and accept it for what it is, no matter what it is as well. You know, it's easy to accept things when they're going really well, you know, when everything's going right, you know, you're healthier, you're eating well, you're sleeping well, you know, doing all the things. You know, that's probably really easy to, you know, come back to those moments and have a lot of present and joy and peace with yourself. But obviously it's harder when things are not. And sometimes it's sort of it's a catch-22 because one of them affects the other. You know, if you are not living in the present moment and you are worrying about the future, then chances are you're probably going to feel really rubbish because you are worrying about something or thinking about something or concerned or frustrated or whatever it is, but it's probably to do with something that has either happened or is going to happen. Most of the time, I feel those emotions when I'm not actually experiencing the situation. You know, it's something that happens sort of afterwards or, you know, when something's coming up that I might be like nervous about or something. But when I actually stop, and I do this, I stop what I'm doing, maybe take some deep breaths. Breaths are always a great way to get back into your body, a really simple way. Taking some nice diaphragmatic deep breaths and just go, okay, where am I right now? Okay, I'm sat in my flat right now. Okay, I'm comfy. I have, you know, my flat. I feel good. You know, everything's great, actually. And when you come back to that moment, generally it's okay. It's okay. And there's not much wrong with that moment, with that present moment. The only time we struggle with it is when we are thinking, we're thinking about something that's either coming up or going into our future and worrying about something that's been. And that's when we start to suffer. And we start to feel that pain and feel just, horrible, really. Just, we start to feel awful and we suffer. And generally that sometimes can then take us on a negative spiral then. And once we're in that spiral, we're like, oh, well, this is bad and this is bad. And that's what can also happen. We have this negative bias, and it's there to keep us safe. Actually, our negative bias, we will never get rid of as human beings because it is there to keep us safe. You know, back in the day when we had to, you know, run away from bears or tigers or anything, we had that flight, fight, I think it's freeze in it response for a really good reason. You know, it's a danger response. It's our body going, hey, you need to do something about that. Something's happening. Now we don't have bears and tigers to deal with, but we have the day-to-day living of life to deal with. And, you know, the worries about things and the frustrations about things. And, you know, that sometimes then can bring up feelings in our body. And we do get that same response. You know, we don't know the difference. Our bodies don't know the difference. Our minds don't know the difference. So what happens then is, you know, something can happen negative, and then you will notice something else that's negative. And you're like, oh, you know, I'm feeling crap already, and now this has happened. It's like, I always like to give this analogy, like when you stub your toe in the morning, you know, that first thing you wake up and you get up and you stub your toe on something and it is so painful and you're just like, oh my God, this is just going to be awful. Oh, it's just going to be an awful day. Then your mind is going to remember and point out all the negative things that happened to you within the day. And it'll be like, well, yeah, you know, I said it was going to be an awful day and look at it. It was an awful day. And look at all these other crap things that happened to me. Whereas if you flipped it and, you know, had a sort of better morning to your, you know, we woke up feeling rested, had a good night's sleep, then you would probably feel better. And you might not look at it that way. You might not notice the negative things all the time. You might start to notice like a few more of the positive things. And I always say this, I've been doing a gratitude practice at night now, every single night for, I don't know, quite a few years now. And I have found that every single night, I always have something that I've done that day. Always. Every single night, there is always something positive about that day that I've done or achieved. And it could be something so simple as well, like the smallest things. You know, had a shower, got up, went for a walk. You know, they don't have to be big things. So that's about it. And it's about coming back to yourself and back to your center. So if you find yourself going into the past or going into the future and worrying and feeling, and it's okay to feel those things. Absolutely. You know, you choose yourself in every moment, but just come back and go, is this the truth? Is this the truth for me right now? And just listen. And just listen to what your body has to say. Maybe something might come up. Maybe something might not come up. But just tuning into your body, you will get so good at this the more you do this. If you practice this on a daily practice, gratitude practice, just coming back to yourself. It doesn't have to be a long meditation. It can literally be like a few deep breaths and just feeling into your heart space and going, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And just listen. And just see what comes up.